Okay. So this is actually a slide that I'm going to show on the first day of class if we end up doing this grading scheme. So I'm going to talk through this just as if I was standing in front of the class explaining it. And it's a little complicated, so that's why I'm wanting to have you listen to it and give me feedback about what's confusing. And also I'll be interested in if you feel like it sounds fair and motivating, if it's a grading scheme you'd like to have for this class. Okay, so here we go. Okay, I was inspired by a document I read from a professor in another school talking about his grading structure, which he called a grading contract. And the goal of the contract was to inspire students to work and do the work of the class and learn, but also to relieve some of the stress of worrying whether or not you're going to get a good grade, particularly when some of the grading is somewhat subjective. So what you see here is this big green box that represents all of the work that you need to do that is objective. In other words, you don't have to wait until I give you a grade. You'll know I completed this assignment, I showed up on time. We'll go over what the criteria are, but they're all things that are fully in your control, so you can know that if you do all of them, you will get a really good grade. A 3.5 is a good, solid grade. I also, at the bottom, have the minimum to do to get a 2.0, which is what you need if a class is required for the informatics major, or a 1.7 if you just need the class to pass the class to contribute to your UW degree. I have those. I rarely have to fail people, but it does happen. It's usually because something's happened in their life, some sort of crisis, or illness, extended illness. And that's life. It's fine. But if you're in that situation, you're knowing you really can't put much toward this class, I want you to be really clear about what is needed to at least pass the class, so you can decide, for example, if you need to drop it. Hopefully none of you will be down here this quarter, and all of you will be here up above. So to get a 3.5, you'll need to get above a 3.5 rather. You'll need to do all of this work plus more. There's a little exception, which is that you can get up to a 3.5 without doing all of this work if you're doing exceptional work. But you can't break that barrier unless you've done all of this work, plus have deeply engaged with the course and shown thoughtfulness, creativity, attention to detail, and insight. And I don't want any of you thinking, oh, I'm not creative, I'm not going to be able to get it over a 3.5. This really is available to everyone. It can take a lot of work, particularly if you're starting sort of from scratch. But I've seen students do it, so I want to encourage you to aspire for that, and I'm here to support you in doing that. Okay, so now the nitty-gritty of what these green boxes represent. This next slide is full of text. I'm going to go over it briefly, but it's all in the syllabus. I've just copied and pasted this from the syllabus. So what is it you need to do to get that minimum what do you need to do to get a 3.5, to earn or to assure yourself of a 3.5? So it has to do with attendance, completing assignments. This is basically attendance at check-ins. You'll see that there are opportunities for a certain number of makeups, which means doing some other work to compensate for what you've missed. I do that because I know that it's very hard to go through a whole quarter and not have something come up, not get sick or have some sort of crisis or have your bus not show up or whatever. So I recognize that and want to give some leniency for the people who are really trying to do this, but have things come up. So be careful not to take advantage of that, when you don't need to. And then to get a grade above a 3.5, again, it's about really deep engagement with this class. And then I've spelled out to get a 1.7, you need to be here at least 10 out of the 19 classes. So basically at half of the classes, and not miss more than 4 consecutively. And you do need to finish the final infographic and video. So I feel like you've learned something from this class, and I can justify giving you a passing grade. To get a 2.0, so the passing grade for an informatics major, you'll also need to complete at least 50% of the skill and concept building assignments. So feel free to ask me questions about that grading scheme. And I'll be interested in your feedback, because I want to get a sense of what, going forward, whether this is a strategy I should continue to use. If it's humane and motivating, basically are two of the criteria for a good grading scheme.